Okay, here we are, end of week number 6 of the FJ62 restoration. It's been a busy week. We've gotten a little bit further along than I actually expected us to be able to do this week. I keep saying us, but it's just me. So to recap, I'll show you everything in a minute, but what was accomplished during the week here is, I'm trying to remember where the last one finished, but I believe this week the rear quarter behind the passenger rear wheel was repaired. The floor pan in front of the wheel well was essentially rebuilt. The rocker panel on the passenger side was repaired. The rust around the windshield frame on the passenger side, and I just finished the main welding on the driver's side has been repaired. So quite a bit was done this week. Yeah, so let me think if anything else I need to really narrate before I start showing you what's going on. What you're going to see is, in the video, you're going to see a lot of, basically looks like black paint, but that's not actually paint. It's this stuff here, Rust Converter Ultra. That stuff comes out, it's like a runny yogurt almost, but it's a rust converter. But I also put it on all the bare metal too to prevent rust, and it's a very good sealer. And so when I get ready to epoxy prime it, I'm of course going to go over all this with a sander and get down through a lot of the any surface rusts or whatever that's still there. But that's okay to leave on the bare metal. It's a good painting surface. Alright, so let's switch over here to the truck. Alright, so here's the rear quarter panel behind the passenger wheel well. This may have been on the last video. If it was, sorry. Had to cut this out. Was able to reuse the big pieces of the panel here. Had to fix this was dented in. Whatever they hit also punctured the metal here. I had to put new metal in down here in the common rust areas, and because this had been penetrated, we had rust all along the bottom here, so I had to fix all that. So pretty much where you see the rust conversion stuff is also where it was cut to get access to fix all that stuff. And then I rust prepped the inside of it so that the rust won't come back. The next main thing is in front of the rear wheel well here. It's pretty bad. It's also pretty bad on the driver's side, actually worse on the driver's side. But I had to cut pretty far to get past the rust. Then I had to start rebuilding. So this is all new metal here. If you look, push this down. This is all new metal, fresh metal. Had to totally reconstruct this whole area. Once the rust gets into a seam, it just starts going crazy. So that all had to come out and had to rebuild all the way back up to here. This is all nice and strong. That was a real pain in the butt because there's so many curves here. There's a curve here, there's a curve here. It all sort of blends, of course. I don't have any way to recreate all those curves, and I don't have a donor, so I have to basically build piece by piece and then stitch them all together. So yeah, it's a lot of work. But remember, this is all going to be under Dynamat and carpet, so it doesn't have to be gorgeous. It just has to be pretty smooth, and it has to be real strong. Move on here to the rocker panel. So right here, I had to cut all the way up to here, and this is basically all new metal back in here. These holes allowed moisture in, and once it got in, it just sat there for years and just ate all that out. So this all had to be totally reconstructed. All new, nice, strong, fresh metal there. Okay, let's move on to the windshield now. You see the picture, what it used to look like. It was pretty gnarly. To be honest, I really had no clue how I was going to get all this put back together. But like everything else, you really just start approaching it piece by piece. The other thing I noticed, I had some rust here. So I removed the windshield wiper assembly, and when I did, I noticed that the fresh air intake box in here, it had rusted. So what I ended up doing is actually cutting this piece off. Mind you, all this metal wasn't there at all. There was really, from here to here, for about 1.5 inches, there was nothing there. And I actually had to put new metal back on the inside of the dash because water had gotten in for so long. This had rusted away. So I had to rebuild that, rebuild this lip, rebuild all these angles. But luckily the main curves, this main piece here was still good metal. So I cut it along a nice straight line, removed this. That gave me access to the inside. All of this had to be rebuilt. This is all, can't even really tell it, but this piece about that wide is all brand new metal. Luckily these angles here are straight, so I was able to just put those in the brake and bend those, and I used the old piece of rusty metal as a template and cut out a piece, bam, put it back in there. Now we're good to go. So there was quite a bit of rust along the base of this fresh air intake, but it had migrated up and down about probably 1/4 inch on either side, so you had a gap there. So what I did is I cut out as much of the bad metal as I could, built this new piece, and put that piece in there. There's another spot around the side on the very back, was about 3/4 inch wide by 1/2 inch tall. There was no way I could get to it, even after having to remove the air handling box. If you notice, you'll see it's black. That's because I've rust prepped all of it, inside and out. So to get that air handler out, you actually have to remove the AC evaporator. It's just a pretty massive pain in the ass, honestly, to get it all out. But I need to get it out anyway to check it. Check that the fan's good. Needed to be done. Yeah, so reconstructed that, put new fresh metal in there, reconstructed this. This is all new fresh metal. This is all fresh metal. Now, this is still it's not as smooth as here, so when I get ready to actually epoxy it, I'm going to go back and sand this down again, probably with a 120 flat disc, and smooth these edges out, so this is a much better, just a smoother transition. To build the lips here, because this is a very curved piece of the windshield, I didn't know exactly how I could bend the sheet metal to create this lip, and also because it curves inward and it also curves upward. So I was thinking, how am I going to do this? So here's a picture of what I ended up doing. And you can kind of see where each of those cuts I then welded and ground it smooth. So that allowed me to create sort of a caterpillar skeleton. And then using the windshield up there as a template, I got my angles correct, tacked them all, put it in place, and then finish welded everything. A lot of work, quite a lot of work, to be honest with you. But here, actually, because I've moved over now to the driver's side, you can see what this looks like before any of the finished grinding is done. I'll stick a picture here so you can see what this looked like. But all this, you know, once the corrosion gets down inside, there's about 3 pieces of body that come together right here, and that corrosion gets down between them. You have to go all the way down in there. This entire piece, all the way down, is a piece of fresh new metal. I had to open up about 3/4 of an inch wide all the way down here and put all new fresh metal in. But this still needs to be ground, smoothed off. I had to build up some areas. But I did test fit the front fender, and this line here is where the fender comes up to. So everything above this is what you're going to see. That means all this is invisible, right? So all I need to do is grind it so it's not gnarly, super gnarly, and then hit it with some rust converter, and it's good to go. Had to hit a couple spots here that had some surface rust. Need to see if I burned through. I didn't burn through here, but I went ahead and put new fresh metal on it. I burned through in a couple places here, burned away the rust, then I put new fresh metal in, and then I had a spot here that was about 3.5 inches wide that was gone. So quite a bit done on the windshield this week. Rocker panel, passenger floorboard, but still lots to go. Sort of recap what we still got to do here. We still got some spots here that need to be repaired. I got to take out all this seam sealer. This one's gonna just be a pain. I'm gonna have to cut away this rain gutter here, probably about 3 inches of it, so I can get to that, and then put the rain gutter back on. But see, the rain gutter is another one where it's just it's a couple pieces of sheet metal pressed together. The rust gets inside there, and it just starts to corrode. And so I end up having to kind of rebuild a whole section of the rain gutter here. And you can see from how the rain gutter is bulging right there, you know there's rust behind this fold. So probably from here to here, I'm going to have to cut away most of the rain gutter. I'm going to have to put a new piece in there before I can reattach it to the truck. So it's a pain, but it's totally doable. I got to repair that. I still got the driver's side rear passenger footwell to repair. Oddly enough, I didn't really have any serious corrosion up in the floor pans up front. There is one place that I'm going to have to repair that I found as I was taking out the air handling stuff. I've got some corrosion here, and it's penetrated, so I can tell by just feeling it. Probably this section here I'm going to cut out. That'll clean right off, and a piece of fresh metal will go right there. So that won't be too bad, and again, it's under carpet. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm probably still got some patches I need to do around back here. It's left over from the body shop. Nothing crazy now. Now the crazy stuff is really done. This floor will be a pain, because like that one, you can see better because of the light. You see all the different pieces I had to make. I'll have to do the same thing here. It is what it is. You know, there's no point in bitching about it. This is what you signed up for, buddy. So yeah, that's where we're at. Into week 6. Month and a half into this. Once I get all the primary body stuff done, the idea is I'm going to roll this, clear all that section out, roll the body as far back out of the way as I can, bring the frame in, pull the engine transmission transfer case off, set it out of the way, and then get to work at restoring the frame too. Frame's not bad. I ordered a C-channel kit from, I forget who it was now. But when I go to put that on, I'll have that information. But the 60s are known for the very rear of the frame having some rust issues, and there's a guy who makes a C-channel kit that'll go in. You have to pop the rivets out and then install some grade 8 bolts. Looks like a pretty easy job. So yeah, I'm moving actually much faster than I thought. I thought I was looking at a couple years of just sheet metal work on this, but this is moving faster than I expected. So I'm happy about that. All right, so that's a recap for week 6. If you got any questions, you know what to do. Let me know. Thanks.